Hello everyone, I all hope you had a very wonderful, great day and a very much of a beautiful day indeed, guys. I'm actually very sorry for actually shooting this late. I was actually busy walking universe and giving her some fresh air and also writing new and old characters from the new book that we're actually continuing with as well. But despite that, guys, I'm superly grateful for your support in watching and in viewing my episodes from both sides, from long videos and also from shorts. It completely means a lot to me. And also, guys, I won't be able to upload today's video because there'll be too much traffic in order to upload it. But I'll be able to upload the shorts for those of you who are actually watching shorts. So you'll receive it today for those of you who are actually watching shorts. And for those of you who are actually watching the long videos, you'll receive it on Monday morning when I wake up. When I wake up before I actually do the next episode. So I'll be able to upload it then on next week Monday. You'll receive it on next week Monday as well. But nevertheless, guys, I'm superly grateful for your support in watching and viewing my episodes. It gratefully, completely means a lot to me. So have a blessed and wonderful weekend and a very, very great day. I'll see you on Monday. On today's episode, we're to speak about a supervillain and about an assassin and a supervillain known as Deathblade, who is an associate of the new Lord of Magic's secret ancient shadowy organization known as the Order of Power that wants to wipe out the supernaturals and the aliens and the superhumans and the Phoenician hunters out of the way completely so they can have sole dominance and sole control over the rest of sacred existence and over the rest of the known universe in the process for them to further their plans and their goals. And Deathblade believes in those goals and in the organization's goals and as well its agenda as well to complete the annihilation, to complete the original goal of the original Lord of Magic's annihilation of the supernaturals, aliens, and superhumans and the Phoenician hunters and the universal heroes out of existence, meaning in other words, permanently. So let's begin. In Deathblade's early life, he was a feared framed assassin for his greatest missions and his greatest accomplice. To that point and to that end, he was quietly revered as the most deadliest assassin and the most wanted sacred criminal throughout the sacred worlds and the known worlds and the known worlds of the sacred nations and planets of the sacred universe. To this point, the original Lord of Magic decided in order to have him as his subordinate, in order for him to continue his missions as a deadly assassin and also powerful, deadly, wanted criminal on the sacred world, which he could benefit as well. Deathblade completely agreed to do this in full secrecy with the original Lord of Magic and agreed to continue his work and his mission for the original Lord of Magic. To this point, Deathblade started killing the most powerful higher-ups throughout the sacred world's sacred criminal world of the alien gangs and criminals who are most in charge of the most powerful substance, of the most powerful dark substance known as shadow energy. He started to assassinate them and he started to easily dispose of them, seeing that they pose a threat to the original Lord of Magic's goal and mission, and that they wanted to become the main competition to his goals of conquest and annihilation. Deathblade decided in order to put an end to them one way and another. He assassinated them all one by one, each of them, taking them out simultaneously in order to prevent them to becoming the main competition. But to do this, the Four Nation Hunters revered that Deathblade is one of the most sacred world's deadliest and greatest foe that ever lived to serve the original Lord of Magic. To this point, Deathblade continued his mission and his goals in order to making sure that the original reputation of the original Lord of Magic remained intact and remained indestructible. And to this end, he continued his assignments and his mission by killing off and wiping out anything and any obstacle that posed a threat to the original Lord of Magic's rule and reign of terror throughout the sacred world and throughout the rest of sacred existence. Over the following years, Deathblade quickly made deals with the most powerful Shadow Empire warlords throughout the fringes of the known universe who have conquered the known worlds of the fringes of the known universe and the known planets, where the Shadow Empire warlords agreed that they'll remain as his respective associate and also agreed to supply him with more destructive and more compatible technology as part of their deal and agreement with the original Lord of Magic, who became the leader and one of the most feared and revered leader of the Shadow Empire over the following centuries and years. And Deathblade was very completely honored to see that the original Lord of Magic's followers and enforcers remained loyal to him, no matter what. Throughout the years, Deathblade continued to remain low throughout his secret base of operation, which is quite within the sacred mountains, of the sacred world, where he was able to operate in full secrecy and he was able to monitor the war and the battle and everything, and where he continued to operate in full secrecy. To this point, he met up with the 4 dark magic users known as the Dark Druid, the Dark Witch, the Dark Faithful, and the Dark Sister, who are one of the most powerful and extremely immortal dark magic users who have lived for more than millennia and also for centuries, who are the ones who banished and trapped the fallen in ancient times and formed the ancient secretive society known as the Order of the Four that maintains a cosmic balance of power by any means necessary. To this point, Deathblade met up with the 4 powerful dark immortal magic users in a dark holographic hologram where they can able to conceal their identity, and they were able to speak about their plans in order to further their plans with Deathblade. Deathblade exactly told the 4 powerful, mysterious, dark, immortal magic users that he's loyal to the original Lord of Magic and that he'll always remain so. The Dark Druid tried to persuade Deathblade into joining forces with them in order for him to act as his associate, which he could benefit more resources and more helping hand for his goals and for his plans. Deathblade exactly reconsidered the proposition and agreed that he'll remain as the associate of the Order of the Four, nothing less and nothing any other exceptions that he might receive from the secretive shadowy organization. To this point, before the meeting can finally adjourn, the Dark Sister wanted to tell Deathblade that his loyalty to the original Lord of Magic is very, very, very good and very, very devoted. It shows a sign of his great affection for his masters and for his bosses, which is uneasily found throughout the rest of the sacred universe and throughout the rest of the known universe. Meaning, in other words, they are superly grateful for his devotion and loyalty to the original Lord of Magic, and that it should stay intact and it should remain intactable. And Deathblade completely agreed with the 4 dark immortal magic users that it would remain the same no matter what. On the 15th of January, Deathblade continued with the secretive experiment notational project, where he was able to combine and integrate dark crystallic technology for himself and for the rest of his followers, where he continued to further in his own agenda and his own mission in full secrecy. To this point, he continued to monitor the battle that the original Lord of Magic and as well as the Shadow Empire that are currently waging war with the Universal Heroes and with the Intergalactic Coalition as well in the process. On the 9th of February, when news of the power vacuum that was created by the death of the original Lord of Magic, who died on the 25th of January, and the power vacuum began consuming the Shadow Empire on the 1st of February, Deathblade was quietly shocked and very quietly distraught that the greatest and most ancient, powerful being that ever lived throughout sacred history is no longer here with him, meaning that his empire is now descending into chaos, and the power vacuum has consumed every other Shadow Empire warlord and commander to secretly forming alliances with ancient groups of supervillains in order to aid them on their respective goals and conquests, which the deal was on these respective alliances with the ancient groups of supervillains that they'll continue supplying them with destructive technology. In return, these ancient groups of supervillains will continue to supply them with more worlds and with more planets that are under their control. Nevertheless, Deathblade remained resilient, and he decided to maintain his cover and his post and his mission and decided to lay low when the time was completely right for him. On the 15th of February, when another power vacuum began because of the disappearance of the Universal Heroes, which resulted in a huge, messy, chaotic way, forcing every other Shadow Empire warlord and commander to not forming any alliances with the other ancient supervillains or with other ancient groups of supervillains, rather to form their own Shadow Empire factions, rather to form their own Shadow Empire factions so that they could conquer known worlds and known sacred worlds and planets for themselves, and the other Shadow Empire warlords and commanders secretly formed alliances with other ancient groups of supervillains, while the others formed their own factions and they formed their own factions and their own hidden army for them to control the rest of the known worlds and the known magical worlds and the rest of sacred existence in the process. Nevertheless, Deathblade was quietly not successfully pleased that the Shadow Empire warlords now want the Shadow Empire throne for themselves until he heard another powerful rumor that then another ancient secret society of supervillains known as the Dark Order has managed to put the current founder and leader of the organization known as Red Bolt to take command of the Shadow Empire to use its resources for its ultimate goals and for its ultimate ancient imagination to wage war with the Star Empire for sole control over the sacred universe and over the Star universe in the process. Deathblade realizes that two forces of evil are fighting for control over two ancient universes, which means, in other words, there must be another new ancient threat rising in from the above. On the 29th of February, Deathblade maintained his position throughout his sacred base of operation until another unknown Shadow Empire warlord told him that there's a new Lord of Magic who has reformed his organization and he reassembled his ancient group that has existed many centuries ago, known as the Order of Power, which is an ancient secret society that has existed for many centuries and for many millennia to continue the goal and the mission of the original Lord of Magic in order to annihilate the supernaturals, aliens, and superhumans in the process, and to have sole control over sacred existence, the sacred world, the magical worlds, and the rest of the magical universe worlds, and the rest of humanity and planet Earth and the sacred universe as well in the process. Deathblade was quietly surprised and very quietly intrigued that there's a new Lord of Magic, and he decided it's best that he reveals himself to his new master, and because he believes in the goals of the original Lord of Magic, and he will do the same no matter what as well. On the 14th of March, Deathblade completely revealed himself and arbitrated an audience with the members of the Order of Power, where the new Lord of Magic completely welcomed him into the group and stated to the members of the Order of Power that this is the original associate of the original Lord of Magic and that he is welcome to remain as the associate of the Order of Power. The Dark Sisters completely welcomed Deathblade into the group and into the organization, stated to him that the Order of Power welcomes him to the organization and as well to its goals. And Deathblade completely accepted his place as the new Lord of Magic told him that his place is now with an ancient secret society and an ancient shadowy group of an organization known as the Order of Power to help it fulfill its goals and long-term mission as well in the process. And Deathblade was very, very pleased and very successfully happy that now the organization can continue on the legacy of the previous original Lord of Magic that he left behind for his followers and for the rest of his forces, who are beginning to continue up and picking it up from the ground up in order to make sure it remains intact and it also remains indestructible for it to continue on for many generations and for many centuries to come as well. On the 20th of May, Deathblade met up convened with the Shadow Empire warlords and commanders on an ancient secretive cave beneath the ancient temples, and he told them that the new Lord of Magic has already begun reforming his Shadow Empire, and his organization, and that he has left everything else under the control of his new protege, known as Lord Clay, to take command of his organization and of his new empire while he goes on a very remarkable dark ancestral realm journey to begin his full transformation of his power and of his full power and of his full power and of his full dark power and abilities. Deathblade exactly reassured the Shadow Empire warlords and commanders that he will maintain his post and continue to watching everything else of his organization, no matter what as well. On the 16th of April, Deathblade continued to monitor the battlefield and everything else as he convened with the Shadow Empire warlord and commanders on his central headquarters of his base, which is an ancient dark crystal temple in the dark holographic holograms, and he told the Shadow Empire warlords and commanders that everything else is going according to plan and that nothing can possibly ruin or disrupt the plans that are quietly set in motion, and that the intergalactic coalition will be fully ready to be disposed and to be wiped out by any means necessary as well. On the 29th of June, on the 29th of June, Deathblade completely monitored the battle that the Shadow Empire warlords and commanders, battle cruisers, and against the battle cruisers of the Intergalactic Coalition continue to decimate and wipe out the rest of their forces. And Deathblade was very successfully happy and pleased of the progress that the Shadow Empire warlords and commanders have remarkably made for so many years, and that they managed to complete the impossible, which in other words has paved the way for the new Lord of Magic to further his plans and his sinister plans and his future goals and his long-term plans for sole control, for complete annihilation of the rest of the sacred creatures of the sacred world as well. On the 20th of July, Deathblade continued to creating a powerful holographic hologram of all the worlds and planets and civilization, magical worlds and planets and civilization that are not completely under the sole control over the new Shadow Empire and over the new Lord of Magic, and began to realize that the Intergalactic Coalition has spread too powerful, and that its power has spread too powerful, and that it has managed to form powerful alliances with ancient groups, with powerful groups of superheroes, such as the United Heroes, the World Heroes, the Universal Heroes, the Universal Earth Heroes, and the Universal Fire Heroes, and the Universal Water Heroes. Meaning, in other words, the Intergalactic Coalition has proven to become much of a major threat that needs to be destroyed and wiped out as well by any means necessary. On the 15th of August, Deathblade convened with the dark magic users, who are the followers of the original Lord of Magic, the Dark Druids, the Dark Witches, and the Dark Faithful, and decided to ask them about their place within this whole, or decided to question them about their place in the war and who they still loyal to. The Dark Magic users told Deathblade that their loyalty remains to the new Lord of Magic, and that they've managed to remain loyal to them, and that they'll manage to continue to serve him and supply him more powerful dark magic powers and abilities to make sure his power successfully rises and ascends throughout the rest of the sacred universe and throughout the rest of the sacred world, so he can have sole control over the sacred universe and over the sacred world in order to annihilate and wipe out the supernaturals and the aliens and the superhumans and the Phoenician hunters out of existence permanently. And Deathblade was successfully pleased and very, very happy that things are going according to plan as well. On the 29th of September, the new Lord of Magic secretly met up with Deathblade throughout his new headquarters, and asked him if that everything else is going according to plan, the way it's intended to be. Deathblade exactly reassured his new boss and his new master that everything else is going according to plan, the way it's intended to be, that the plans have been able to bear fruit, and that the schedule has been put in place and in motion. And the new Lord of Magic was very successfully pleased and very, very gratefully happy that things are finally taking place as well. On the 20th of October, Deathblade secretly met up with the Shadow Empire warlords and commanders face to face, where they were able to speak on the ancient caves in order to discuss the future plans of the war and also the total annihilation of the supernaturals and aliens and all of the superhumans. The Shadow Empire warlords and commanders reassured Deathblade that everything else is going according to plan, the way it's intended to be. The Intergalactic Coalition liberating many worlds and planets and everything else has successfully fallen according into place. Meaning, in other words, it's time for him to test his power and his ability against the Universal Defending Heroes once and for all as well. On the 15th of October, Deathblade and a group of armed mercenaries who are heavily armed with destructive and compatible Shadow Empire technology were ready to wipe out and dispose of the Phoenician hunters and of the members of the Intergalactic Coalition once and for all. What they didn't expect is that the members of the Intergalactic Coalition and the Phoenician hunters have already brought in help and aid from the Universal Magic Heroes, with Universal Magic Girl able to assist them and aid them. The battle from both sides is waged on. As the good guys were able to remain victorious, Deathblade decided to retreat and to disappear within a battlefield once and for all. After a game, he was never seen or never heard of since from the battle. On the 20th of November, Deathblade secretly convened with the members, with the Shadow Empire warlords and commanders, and told them that he made a big mistake in underestimating the Intergalactic Coalition's abilities in thwarting his operation and his plan, and the Universal Magic Heroes and Universal Magic Girl and the abilities in thwarting his operation and his successful plan, and that it can never again happen again, as they all agreed that it's time for them to further their ultimate plans by any means necessary. On the 29th of December, Deathblade completely exactly met up with the four dark, immortal, mysterious magic users in their dark holographic hologram, where they were able to convene on an ancient dark crystal temple beneath the caves or beneath the ruined caves, where they'll be able to speak about the plans and the details. The Dark Sister told Deathblade that he made a huge mistake in undermining and in estimating his foes and enemies too badly, that he took them lightly and he took their abilities way too lightly, that he can never again repeat his mistakes or failures ever again. Deathblade completely agreed with the Dark Sister that he completely undermined his foes and his enemies' abilities in thwarting his operation and his successful plan, and that will never again happen again, as he reassured the four powerful, dark, mysterious magic users who are quietly concealing their identity in their dark holographic hologram as well. On the 15th of January, Deathblade completely met up with the new Lord of Magic and told them that everything else is back in order and that the plan can successfully proceed. Lord Jet was very skeptical, as he told Deathblade that his association with another ancient powerful secret society group known as the Order of the Four was a good idea in order for you to become and remain the associate, in order for you to figure out exactly what they're planning and what exactly are they really scheming about with their ancient imagination. Deathblade told the new Lord of Magic that all they're planning is to maintaining the cosmic balance of power by any means necessary, which is why it could work for him and his organization. It could pave a way for his future plans and his long-term plans for sole control over the rest of the star universe, the robotics universe, the Mixel universe, the Over universe, the Light universe, the Dark universe, the Sacred universe, and the Sacred universe, and the Sacred universe, and the Sacred universe as well, so that he can have sole control over those universes and sole dominance over those universes by annihilating and removing the supernaturals and the superhumans out of the way. And Deathblade reassured his new boss that everything is going according to plan, the way it's intended to be. And both of them shook hands and remarked each other of the association, meaning that the plan can finally begin to take hold. Despite this, guys, Deathblade is completely fanatically loyal and devoted to the new and to the original Lord of Magic. He remained their associate for many centuries and for many years. Due to his long gravity, he believes in the new Lord of Magic's goals and mission to annihilate and to wipe out the supernaturals and the aliens and the superhumans out of the sacred world and out of the sacred universe by any means necessary. And he's been helping him and assisting them for many centuries and for many years. Due to his intelligence and to his intellect, he was able to assist the original Lord of Magic by wiping out any competitor who dare stand in his way of his goals and of his mission. And he maintains his usual bases of operations, such as his central headquarters as a powerful dark crystal temple that is quietly within the sacred worlds, within the sacred mountain of the sacred magical worlds, where he can operate in full secrecy and convene with the other forces of evil so to discuss their plans and the operation. He's very skilled in hand-to-hand combat, swordsmanship, guns, bullets, taser blades, guns and taser blades. With portaling, he has the technology to open up a portal. He's very adaptable, very adaptable. He bears the power of endurance and agility, very smart and very dangerous, very ambitious and very devoted to the new Lord of Magic and to his organization. He believes in the dark, secret, shadowy organization's goals, known as the Order of Power, and is willing to assist and help to make sure that the organization's goals bear fruit. He learned the hard way to never again underestimate the Universal Heroes and the Intergalactic Coalition and the United Heroes' abilities in thwarting the operation and their plans in the process. He's very devoted and very loyal to the new Lord of Magic. He remained his associate for many years and for many centuries, completely devoted. He is one of the most deadliest and powerful wanted sacred criminals throughout the sacred world for many centuries. According to the 4 Nation Hunter database, Deathblade is feared and deadly and very dangerous and very powerful assassin and supervillain who's very gifted and incredible with his skills in marksmanship and in assassination and in sniper mission, who can never be underestimated. And despite this, he's been wanted for many years and for many centuries. Due to him being wanted, Deathblade uses his wanted head list in order to remain low, and to remain low and hidden to his secret bases of operation, because he's very intelligent and very smart and very deadly. His main competitor in the sacred criminal underworld game is Ghostmaster, and he's been competing against him for many years to come. Despite this, Deathblade quietly hates and despises Ghostmaster with his criminal reputation, and is willing to fight with him and go up against him, and is willing to do whatever it takes to take him out of his game in order to beat him in his own game. Despite this, he's willing to do whatever it takes to remain in power and in control over everything else that the new Lord of Magic has managed to control, and has managed to form powerful secretive alliances with powerful ancient groups of supervillains known as the Order of the Four, in order to help this secret shadowy organization to maintaining the cosmic balance of power by any means necessary, and also to remaining as a hidden agent, as a double agent for both organization and as well as an inside man, to making sure that this organization doesn't move against the Order of Powers organization's goals and future plans, and that it remains hidden, and that it remains stable away from the sacred galactic war, which benefits the Order of Power, so that it can pave a way so that the new Lord of Magic secret society known as the Order of Power can begin his sole conquest and ruling over the sacred universe and over the known universe in the process. He's tragically loyal and devoted to the new Lord of Magic and to the original Lord of Magic, and is very, very devoted. He maintains his bases of operation and his central headquarters, such as a secretive ancient dark temple, a crystal ancient dark temple, and the rest of his other bases are well hidden throughout the sacred worlds and the known worlds, where he uses them in order to hide and remain low. He learns from his failures never again to underestimate the universal magic heroes and universal magical's abilities in thwarting his operation. He's very ruthless, very cruel, very determined, very, very patient with his enemies, and he can disappear and reappear at will, because he's very skilled in disappearance and in reappearing at will from the shadows of humanity and from the shackles of the sacred world, which has been depriving him for many centuries, and that makes it very exceptionally dangerous and very, very deadly assassin and foe who's been wanted throughout the sacred world and throughout the rest of sacred existence for many centuries and for many years to come as well, by the 4 Nation Hunters, who have informed the universal heroes that Deathblade is the cruelest, deadliest, wanted sacred criminal across the sacred world for many centuries for his criminal actions against the sacred world and against the rest of the sacred universe. He is not meant to be underestimated and not meant to be taken lightly. He's deadly, cruel, ruthless, powerful, and very merciless, and very, very ambitious with his plans, willing to make sure that the secretive shadowy organization known as the Order of Power remains in power and in control over the sacred galactic dark war that's been going on for many millennia and centuries to come, and in controlling humanity and the sacred world and the sacred universe by any means necessary. A very loyal associate, and he still remains so. Well, guys, that's it for today's episode. I will see you on Monday. I'll be able to upload this episode on Monday. You'll receive it on Monday. Have a great, blessed weekend, and a very, very great, blessed weekend, and a very great, blessed day and afternoon. Take care of yourself. Love and appreciate you guys. Thank you for watching and for receiving the episode. Have a wonderful, great day. I will see you on Monday. Take care. God bless you all.